sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. As you can see, the housework has been rather neglected since the servants disappeared almost a week ago.
Do you mean they just vanished?
Into thin air. Perhaps I should introduce you to the children.
How do you do, children? I'm your new nanny.
Are you going to leave us too?
Why should I leave you?
The others said they wouldn't, but they did, and then it happened.
My children sometimes have strange ideas, but you mustn't pay any attention. Children will be children.
Why have you opened the curtains? It was Victor.
You told your brother that there was someone else in the room.
There was.
That'll do, Anne. What is it?
I've seen them too. Sometimes the world of the dead gets mixed up with the world of the living. Sooner or later, she'll see them. Then everything will be different.
There were voices, a boy and two women, and they were talking together.
Mummy, look. This is the father, this is the mother, this is Victor, and this is the old woman.
What do these numbers stand for?
That's the number of times I've seen them.
What do you want?
They're everywhere. They say this house is theirs.
No! Children!
Come here!
Run!
Can't you hear it? There's someone there.
Sooner or later, they'll find you.
Where is my daughter?
Are you mad? I am your daughter.
Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 2001 horror thriller classic, The Others, starring Nicole Kidman, Christopher Eccleston. It's an all-star cast. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club, I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past. So you can go ahead and go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and give us the big thumbs up. You can also go to our page on YouTube at KD9575. Hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. You'll get all the latest updates whenever I post a new video, anytime I find, a crazy link that has anything to do with B movies or movies in general. I pass the savings on to you. You know what I'm saying? So don't forget to spread the word. Any friends and neighbors, anybody you know, an acquaintance perhaps, I don't know, a pen pal, just let them know, okay? You'll be doing me a solid, and you won't regret it. I'm telling you. So there you go. Good times had by all. The Others, in this, a few years after World War II, on the British island of Jersey. It's this foggy place. This mother, her name is Grace. She's kind of high-strung. She has two young children named Anne and Nicholas. Anne and Nicholas suffer from a rare skin disease that makes them literally allergic to sunlight. So they have this huge palatial mansion. And she has to close the curtains constantly. Grace has to make everything's closed, make sure all the windows are closed. And she cannot, if she leaves a room, she cannot open the next door until the previous door has been closed. It's kind of like going to like a bird aviary or a butterfly garden. You can't have both the doors open at the same time. Because just as the butterflies will escape, okay, the light will come through and horribly disfigure their children, okay? So she's locking at one door, unlocking the next. That's how she do, okay? Now, as the movie begins, we discovered that recently her previous serving staff, butlers, gardeners, things like that, nannies, have disappeared. Just aren't there anymore. But luckily, three people show up on her doorstep who claim to have they used to work in this manner many, many years ago, okay? There's a nanny, a housekeeper, and a gardener. They're there to help out, okay? So as she's introducing them to the house, she's also telling them, you know, about the children's conditions. So most of the movie is in kind of this twilight, where she goes around. She's basically homeschooling her children because of their skin disease. She can't take them outside at all. So it's a lot of indoor. The lights are closed, or lights are turned off. There's no electricity in the house, but they have like little oil lamps with which to see. Now we learn that the oldest daughter, Anne, says she's been having conversations with this little boy, Victor, who doesn't seem to be there. Is he a ghost? What's the story? She claims it's all true. Grace, her mother, is flipping out. Stop trying to scare your little brother. What are you doing? But then she starts to notice things. There's footsteps. There's little voices. Doors are closing and opening. Curtains are opening, which is a big issue because of the kids. What's going on? As this progresses, we notice that the new serving staff, they seem to have an idea of what's going on. What's the story? There's also a subplot of the fact that the husband, Grace's husband, the kid's father, went away to war, and the war ended a couple years ago, and he has not returned. So we don't know what is going on. There's kind of a twist towards the end of the movie. I don't want to spoil everything. I don't want to give everything away, okay? Kind of an M. Shyamalan-esque twist, okay, that you may or may not see coming. I don't know. I was pretty surprised. Okay, it was good. This is actually a Spanish-American-British collaboration, written and directed by a Spanish director named Alejandro Amenabar, who had also done another movie called Abre los ojos, which means open your eyes in Espanol. And that movie, that movie was made into an American movie called Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise. Why is this interesting? Because obviously at the time, Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise were married. So he executive produced The Others, and then within a few months, Vanilla Sky came out, and they were both, the same director had their hand in it. And this actually, The Others was the last collaboration between Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman before they went their separate ways. This movie was actually, it's considered primarily a Spanish film because, like I said, written and directed by the same Spanish director, and a lot of it was shot in Spain, even though it takes place in England. It was all over the Spanish landscape, evidently. It won like Best Picture at like the Spanish version of the Oscars, and for many, many, many years was the highest grossing Spanish film of all time. A few years ago, another film came and beat it, but this was big. When it came out, it was number 4 at the box office, but actually stayed around there within the top 5 for like 2 months, and in like the 7th week, it actually went from 4th to 2nd. So it was a pretty big hit. I mean, it's very creepy. If you haven't seen it, it's very creepy. It's not a violent movie. There's not blood and guts or anything like that. But it's kind of, they set this tone of this, you know, there's a mystery. And the house is always in shadows and darkness. And frankly, there's really only one scene where you see something that's like, oh my goodness, that seems very ghostly. The rest of it's a lot of doors closing. It's about building the mood, if you know what I'm saying. Nicole Kidman initially was kind of skeptical. She's like, I don't know if I want to do this. I just did Moulin Rouge. You know, it was really kind of up-tempo, even though it kind of had kind of sad moments. It was up-tempo, singing and dancing and blah, blah, blah. She wasn't sure she wanted to downshift from that to kind of this kind of dark and eerie thing going on here. But she did, and she does quite well with it. Like I said, this movie is kind of a confluence of different nationalities. The entire cast is British, with the exception of Nicole Kidman, who's actually from Australia. So she's an Australian playing somebody who's from Great Britain. Written and directed by a Spanish guy. And like I said, won those awards, even though not a single word in Spanish is spoken. And again, it doesn't take place in Spain. And then it was basically financed and produced by Americans. So it's all over the map here. Okay, they do it all. Evidently, The idea for this movie came from an episode of a television show in the 80s that kind of dealt with this kind of same thing. And then there was a movie that was made based upon the television show called Voices, which also dealt with this. But this was evidently of all the versions, it's definitely the most recent, okay? And arguably the most successful version. So there you go. Good times had by all. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It is great. It's creepy. It's kind of a throwback, if you will, for these kind of like scary things where it's really just about the mood getting set up. You know what I mean? It's not there's a monster or a guy in a hockey mask chasing people through the hallways or anything like that. It's just kind of, something's a little strange. It's very dark. There's very little light. We're setting the tone for you. And then there's that twist. So I enjoyed it. It currently has an 83% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So again, it is still streaming instantly on Netflix. Rush out and see it if you have not done so as of yet. I highly recommend it. Good times. It kind of went under the radar a little bit. So, it's The Others. Okay? If you're in Spain, it's Los Otros. Okay? Good times. So you get the bilingual element here on this show. Okay? So, next week, moving away from the creepiness, okay? We're going to be doing the sports drama? Comedy? I don't know. Varsity Blues, starring the immortal James Van Der Beek, John Voight, Paul Walker, rest in peace, okay? Who else? Scott Kahn, Ali Larder, Amy Smart. It's an all-star cast. You know them, don't you? So check that out. It is streaming instantly on Netflix. Send any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and I may talk about it on the show. Don't forget to go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Go to our page on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at The B Movie Club. And don't forget to send any more movie suggestions. I'd love to hear what you have to say, please. So there you have it. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. Sometimes the world of the living gets mixed up with the world of the dead. So there you go. It's kind of a little something there. So there you have it. Thank you for joining us. Next week, Varsity Blues. Be well.